I postponed my wedding to pay for my sister's treatment. She later said, lucky I have a sister with no personal life. I canceled her tuition payments. Now she's a waitress while I had a resort wedding. I still remember the exact moment when I realized I'd been played like a cheap fiddle. There I was, sitting at my parents' dining table, the same one where we'd celebrated every Thanksgiving since I was a kid. My sister Megan had just finished telling everyone about her recovery journey, which, don't get me wrong, I was beyond thrilled about. Leukemia's no joke, and seeing her healthy again was worth every penny I'd spent. But then she dropped the bomb that changed everything. Lucky I have an older sister with no personal life, ready to spend money on me, she said with this little smirk, looking around the table. And everyone, my parents, our cousins, even my fiancé Jake, they all laughed, like it was the funniest joke they'd heard all year. Let me back up a bit. 2 years ago, Megan got diagnosed right when I was planning my wedding to Jake. We'd been saving for our dream ceremony at this gorgeous beachfront resort in Cancun for almost 3 years. Had the venue booked, deposits paid, everything. Jake and I both work in tech, me in UX design, him in software engineering, so we were doing pretty well, but that resort wasn't cheap. Then boom, Megan needs specialized treatment that insurance won't fully cover. My parents had already drained their savings on her first round of chemo, and they were talking about remortgaging their house. I couldn't let that happen. So Jake and I had the talk, and we decided to postpone the wedding and use our savings for Megan's treatment. Your sister needs this more than we need fancy margaritas on a beach, Jake said. God, I love that man. So we canceled everything, lost some deposits, and wrote a check that basically emptied our wedding fund. I even picked up some freelance gigs on weekends to help cover Megan's living expenses while she couldn't work. For 2 years, our lives were on hold while she fought for hers, and she won. Man, when the doctor said she was in remission, I ugly cried right there in the hospital. It was the best news ever, until that dinner. As everyone laughed at Megan's joke, I caught Jake's eye across the table. He wasn't laughing. He just gave me this look that said, "Are you hearing this?" And I was, loud and clear. I smiled and stayed. Quiet, passed the mashed potatoes, asked Dad about his golf game. Normal stuff. But inside, I was done. So completely done. The next morning, I called the university where Megan was studying nursing, on my dime, by the way. I'd been paying her tuition since she couldn't work during treatment, and had promised to cover it until she graduated. One phone call later, and I'd canceled all future payments. Then I called our wedding planner and said, "Remember that resort? In Cancun? Let's make it happen." For a whole week, I didn't hear a peep from Megan. Then my phone blew up with texts. They say I'm being expelled for non-payment. The bursar's office says you canceled my tuition? Call me now! I waited until after work to call her back. When I did, she was crying so hard I could barely understand her. I'm getting kicked out of school. They say I owe $14,000 for this semester alone. What happened to the tuition payments? I took a deep breath. That's sad to hear, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. But I've decided to start spending on my personal life now. There was this long silence. Then, what are you talking about? Jake and I are getting married in October, at that resort in Cancun we always wanted. I need my money for that. But you promised, she shrieked. You can't just... Actually, I can. And I did. Mom and Dad can't afford this. You know that. I do know that, I said. Maybe you should have thought about that before you made fun of me for having no personal life while I was bankrolling yours. She hung up on me. Then my mom called. Then my dad. I let them all go to voicemail. Update, y'all. The family fallout has been real. Mom keeps saying I'm punishing Megan for just a joke, and Dad hasn't spoken to me in weeks. My aunt called me heartless. But here's my question. Am I really wrong for expecting basic gratitude from someone whose life I helped save? Jake says I'm justified, but I'm starting to wonder if I went too far. Would you have done the same? 2 months later, things had calmed down a bit. My parents were still giving me the cold shoulder, but they'd stopped calling every day to beg me to reconsider. Megan had moved back home and found a job waiting tables at Applebee's. According to my mom, she was saving up to go back to school. Meanwhile, Jake and I were back in full wedding planning mode. We'd managed to rebook our dream venue for October. Ironically, we got a discount because another couple had canceled last minute. Funny how life works sometimes. I sent out our invitations to the whole family, including Megan. Part of me wanted to exclude her entirely, but Jake, always the bigger person, said, "Don't sink to that level. Invite her and let her decide what to do." So I did. And sure enough, 3 days later, I got a text from her. "I can't afford to fly to Cancun right now, or the hotel, or time off work." I texted back, "I understand. Sometimes we have to choose between education and travel. I had to make that choice. For you once. Petty? Maybe. But it felt good. The wedding planning kept me busy enough that I didn't have much time to dwell on the Megan situation. Jake and I were both crushing it at work, and with our combined savings and no sister's medical bills to pay, we were able to upgrade pretty much everything for the wedding. Better food package, premium open bar, beachfront ceremony instead of the garden. We even extended our honeymoon by a week. Every now and then, Mom would drop hints about reconciliation. "Megan's really struggling," she'd say during our weekly phone calls. "The manager at Applebee's keeps cutting her hours. She's thinking about community college, but even that's expensive." I'd just change the subject. "So have you decided what you're wearing to the wedding? That resort gets pretty humid, so you might want something lightweight." Dad finally broke his silence when I called to confirm their flights. "Your mother and I have been talking," he said, his voice doing that thing it does when he's uncomfortable. "We think Well, we think you should consider helping Megan get to the wedding as a family unity gesture. I nearly choked on my La Croix. You want me to pay for her to come to my wedding? After everything? She's your sister, he said. Like that explained everything. Yes, she is, I replied. And she made it very clear what she thinks of me and my personal life. If she wants to be at my wedding, she can figure it out like an adult. There was a long pause. We might not be able to come if Megan can't, he finally said. That hurt. I'm not gonna lie, that really hurt, but I held my ground. That's your choice to make, Dad. The invitation stands either way. After we hung up, I sat on my couch and cried for a good hour. Jake came home from his CrossFit class and found me surrounded by tissues, eyes puffy and red. They might not come, I told him between hiccups, because I won't pay for Megan. He sat down and pulled me against him. Then we'll have a beautiful wedding without them, and it'll be their loss. And you know what? He was right. Update. Okay. Reddit fam, things just got even messier. My parents actually said they might skip my wedding if I don't fly Megan out to Cancun. Jake says we should enjoy our day regardless. But is a wedding even a wedding without your parents there? Meanwhile, Megan sent me this long text about how I'm destroying the family over one harmless comment. Am I the villain here? My heart says no, but my anxiety says maybe. 3 weeks before the wedding, I got a surprising text from Megan. Can we talk, face to face, please? We met at this little coffee shop halfway between my apartment and our parents' house. Neutral territory, you know? When I walked in, I almost didn't recognize her. Her hair had grown back, but she dyed it this dark auburn color, and she looked older somehow, more worn down. I ordered an iced vanilla latte and sat down across from her. For a minute, neither of us spoke, so I finally said, "You wanted to talk?" She nodded, fidgeting with her cup. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she said slowly. "About what happened, what I said." I waited. It was a stupid joke. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. "How did you mean it then?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even. She looked down. "I don't know. I was just trying to be funny. Everyone was being so serious about the whole cancer thing, and I just wanted to lighten the mood. By making fun of me? For helping you?" "I didn't think of it that way," she protested. "But I get how it came across now, and I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry." I took a sip of my latte, letting her words sink in. Was she actually apologizing, or just trying to get me to pay for her ticket to Cancun? "I appreciate the apology," I said cautiously. "But it doesn't change what happened." "I know." She bit her lip. I miss my big sister, and I hate that I ruined everything." Something in her voice sounded genuine, but then again, Megan had always been good at getting what she wanted. "What exactly are you hoping for here?" I asked. She shrugged, looking defeated. "Nothing, I guess. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry, and congratulations on your wedding. I hope it's amazing." We talked a bit more, small talk mostly, about her job, which she hated, and my work, which was going great. As we were getting ready to leave, she said, "For what it's worth, I've been saving every tip I get. I'm up to almost $800 for school. Community college might not be as prestigious as state, but it's something." I nodded, not sure what to say. "Anyway," she continued, "I really am happy for you and Jake. He's a good guy. You deserve that big resort wedding." As I watched her walk to her beat-up Honda Civic, the same car she'd had since high school, something shifted inside me. Not enough to make me call the university and reinstate her tuition payments, but enough to make me think. On the drive home, I called Jake. "How was it?" he asked. "Weird," I said honestly. "She actually apologized. Like, a real apology, not a sorry you were offended thing." Wow, did not see that coming. Me neither. I paused at a red light. "What would you think about maybe helping her get to the wedding? Not paying for everything, but maybe the flight?" Jake didn't answer right away. "You sure about that? After everything?" "Not really," I admitted. "But she is my sister, and she seemed genuinely sorry." "It's your call, babe. Whatever you decide, I'm with you." I thought about it for a few more days. Then I called Megan. "I'm not paying for your tuition," I said as soon as she picked up. "That ship has sailed." "I know," she said quietly. "But if you want to come to the wedding, I'll cover your flight. You'd have to share a room with cousin Emma, and you'd need to figure out spending money on your own." There was a pause. "Really?" "Really. One condition, though." "What's that?" "No jokes about my personal life? Not at the wedding? Not ever." She laughed. Not meanly, just a surprised sort of laugh. "Deal." So that's how, 2 weeks later, my sister ended up in Cancun for my wedding. It wasn't perfect. Mom kept trying to push us together for sister photos, and there was an awkward moment at the rehearsal dinner when someone asked Megan what she did, and she had to admit she was a waitress. But overall, it was civil. The ceremony itself was everything I dreamed of. Sunset on the beach, waves crashing in the background, Jake looking at me like I was the only woman in the world, worth every penny and every minute of the 2-year wait. At the reception, after a few too many margaritas, Megan clinked her glass and stood up. My heart sank. Oh God, she was going to make a toast. This could go very, very badly. "I just want to say," she started, her voice a little wobbly, "that my sister is the most generous person I know. Not just with money, but with forgiveness. I didn't deserve a second chance, but she gave me one anyway. So here's to the bride and groom. May your lives together be as beautiful as you both are." It wasn't much, but it was something. A start, maybe. Later that night, as Jake and I slow danced under the stars, he nodded toward where Megan was sitting, scrolling through her phone. "You did a good thing," he said, letting her come. I shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just a sucker." Laughed and pulled me closer. "Nah, you're just a good sister. Better than she deserves, probably." "Definitely," I corrected him with a smile. The next morning, as Jake and I were getting ready to leave for our honeymoon in Tulum, Megan knocked on our hotel room door. "I just wanted to say goodbye," she said. "And thanks again for letting me come," I nodded. "It was good to have family here." She hesitated, then handed me a small wrapped package. "It's not much, but yeah, happy wedding." After she left, I opened it. Inside was a framed photo of me and her from way back, both of us in our swimsuits at the lake where we used to spend summers. I must have been about 12, and she was 8 or 9. We had our arms around each other, both missing teeth in, our giant smiles. On the back, she'd written, "To my sister, thank you for everything. I'm working on being worthy of it. Love, Megan." Update. Well, folks, the wedding happened, and it was absolutely perfect. Megan actually came, long story, and get this. She gave a toast that made me cry for all the right reasons. I'm sitting on the balcony of our honeymoon suite right now, watching the sunrise over the ocean with my husband. Still feels crazy to say that. And I'm wondering, is forgiveness its own kind of revenge? Because I've never felt more at peace. Has anyone else found that sometimes the best revenge is just moving on? It's been 6 months since the wedding. Jake and I are settled into our new routine as a married couple, which honestly isn't that different from our old routine, except now we have really nice kitchen appliances from our registry. Megan's. Still waiting tables, but she enrolled in community college for their nursing program. She's paying for it herself, one semester at a time. Sometimes she calls to tell me about her classes or ask for help with assignments. I don't know if we'll ever be as close as we were before everything happened. Some bridges, once burned, can only be rebuilt so far. But we're talking again. That's something. Mom still brings up the tuition thing occasionally. "You know, it would go so much faster if you helped her out a little." But I shut that down pretty quick. "She's doing fine on her own," I say. "Better, actually." And it's true. There's a different kind of respect between us now. She knows I have boundaries. I know she's tougher than I gave her credit for. Last week, she texted me a picture of her first A on a nursing exam. No caption, just the grade. I texted back a thumbs up emoji and proud of you, because I am. Not just of the grade, but of her doing it the hard way, earning it. Sometimes I wonder if I did the right thing, if the perfect revenge was worth the family drama and the broken trust. But then I look at where we all ended up, and I think maybe it wasn't revenge at all. Maybe it was just a long overdue lesson in consequences. Either way, I finally got my resort wedding, and my sister finally grew up. In the end, I guess we both got what we needed.